As we've reported, President Trump's decision to strike Iran has drawn mixed reaction on Capitol Hill, but some fear this war could carry political risks for Republicans in November's midterm elections. Several domestic issues are already top of mind for voters, including health care and affordability. Democrats are now re-strategizing about how to change the balance of power in Congress. Joining us now is Democratic Congresswoman Suzan DelBene. She represents Washington State and is also the chair of the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, or the DCCC. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
Just to get started, let's get your reaction to this war, as the president has called it, a war in Iran, which he initiated without congressional approval.
Well, we should all be clear that Iran has been, their regime has been violent, repressive of their own people, has spread terrorism around the world. So absolutely, there has been great concern about Iran for a long time. But if the president, if members of his administration want to take action, they have to come to Congress. There needs to be a plan. There needs to be a justification, an explanation of why they need to move. We've received none of that. And so these preemptive strikes that they have taken, we have no information of why, what was the sense of urgency, and they have no approval for Congress. In fact, the first briefing that I will get will be tomorrow afternoon, long after these strikes took place.
4 days in. The president has shown repeatedly that he's not interested in getting congressional approval for these kinds of actions. When the U.S. and Israel struck Iran in June, when we went after Maduro, Congress was not involved, nor did they approve. What can Congress do to be a limit on the executive branch, as was designed in the Constitution?
Well, this is where Congress needs to stand up, and let's be clear, Republicans in Congress, who are in the majority in the House and the Senate, have been blindly loyal to the president. They refuse to do their jobs as members of Congress and stand up and take a vote on things that are critically important to our communities, to our country, and absolutely having a vote on authorization for use of military force is required, and we should be demanding that in a bipartisan way. But unfortunately, we have Republicans who, again, are just a rubber stamp for the president and refuse to stand up. We are absolutely going to stand up.
Even some Democrats, though, are not on board with the War Powers resolution. How do you plan to... Well, what do you make of that as well?
Well, I think actually, again, coming to Congress, asking for authorization, if folks want to support a particular action because a case has been made, then people can vote yes. But there needs to be a vote. There needs to be, the president needs to come to Congress requesting an authorization for use of military force. And then people, based on the information that's provided, can make their decision. The president cannot move unilaterally. He is not a king. He cannot move without coming to Congress. And he talked about preventing and ending forever wars. Over and over and over, he has broken promises to the American people, whether it is on this, whether it's on lowering prices. People across the country are outraged because they want a Congress that will stand up for them, and they're tired of broken promises. They want folks who are going to work for them and address the issues facing the American people. We
don't know yet how long this war will drag on, if it will be a forever war. Pete Hegseth said clearly in no uncertain terms that this will not be that kind of a conflict. The president said it could go on several weeks. We'll see. We don't know. Republicans, though, are praising this action. We have some sound from them. Let's take a listen.
President Trump's decision to launch this decisive action against Iran is the single most important decision of his presidency. I think he laid out powerfully and effectively why he is taking this action. He is taking this action because the government of Iran is a profound and malign influence. They have been the leading state sponsor of terrorism for 47 years. They have, over that time, killed nearly 1,000 Americans. They provide more than 90% of the funding for Hamas. They provide more than 90% of the funding for Hezbollah. The Iranian Ayatollah was, until yesterday, actively trying to murder the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
That is Senator Ted Cruz speaking to our Margaret Brennan on Face the Nation. Clearly, many Republicans support this action. Some Democrats have not been as critical as you are. But even if this resolution passes, the president still has to sign it. So it almost feels symbolic?
Well, again, Congress has the power to declare war. The president has to come. He described this as a war.
Right.
So if Senator Cruz feels like this was the right thing to do, then that case needs to be made. He says there's an urgent need. We have not seen data supporting the need for an imminent strike. We have not seen data supporting why such a military action needed to be taken at this time. The president needs to make that case. There needs to be a plan, and we need to know what the objectives are, and we need to know what the long-term exit strategy is. None of that has been provided by the administration. Those are the questions we have and will have going forward.
You will be briefed tomorrow by members of the administration, but tomorrow is also primary day in Texas. How does this impact the midterms?
Well, it's primary day in Texas and in North Carolina, important areas. And, you know, let's be clear, Republicans know that they are losing across the country, the broken promises to the American people. And so they tried to redraw the maps in Texas. They did, but we still have opportunities to pick up seats. So we have primaries happening in important districts like in Texas 15 and 35, where we have opportunities to flip districts. We only need 3 more seats to take back the majority in the House of Representatives. So this is that first step. Voters are turning out, and again, they want folks who are going to stand up for them. They want folks who are not rubber stamps for Donald Trump, but are standing up for our communities and are coming to Congress to do their work. This will be the first step we'll see in Texas and in North Carolina, where we have swing districts, an opportunity to take back the majority.
The Democratic Party has been planning for months on its midterm strategy since the president was elected. How does this war with Iran impact the Democratic strategy?
Well, I think from the very beginning, the president has broken promises to the American people. He said he was going to lower costs on day one. Broken promise. We've seen costs go up on housing, food, health care, childcare, energy costs, all going up directly because of actions of the administration and Republicans in Congress. Talk to people on the ground in battlegrounds across the country. People are struggling to get by. Prices are going up. And so whatever the president says about, you know, how everything's great across the country, talk to people on the ground. He can't break through with them because that's not what they're feeling. Day to day, folks are struggling to get by, spending more of their money on health care, on food, and directly because of actions of the administration. We need folks who are going to understand that, who are actually going to fight to lower costs. The tariffs from the president, raising prices, he doesn't have the authority to do that either. The Supreme Court was clear. And so we see a president, again, who thinks he can just make declarations without going to Congress. We need a Congress that's going to stand up, do its part to basically support the needs of the American people and put policy in place that's going to help put us on a better track going forward. Unfortunately, broken promise, broken promise, broken promise. People across the country are rejecting that, and we've seen Democrats running ahead in special elections across the country because of that.
All right, we'll see how everything plays out in the midterms and in tomorrow's primary. Thank you so much, Congresswoman DelBene.